Hello everyone, it's Anna, and today I have a very late June wrap-up for you. In the month of June I've read 5 books and I gave 3 of them 5 stars and 1 of them 2 stars. So it's been a great reading month with one quite huge disappointment. The first book I finished was Scythe by Neil Shusterman, and I gave this one 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. In case you don't know what it's about, it follows a world where humans manage to eliminate illnesses and even death, but because people can't die by natural causes, the human population keeps growing and growing, and in order to kind of balance that out and not let it get too overwhelming, there are scythes, the only people who can actually kill in this world, because when they glean, which is kill, the people actually stay dead and cannot be resurrected or whatever. In this book we follow 2 apprentices of a scythe, Rowan and Citra, and both of them kind of did not really want to become scythes, but then they get this offer and they are intrigued and they start the apprenticeship and then actually start competing for it, because only one of them will be a scythe in the end. This was a very interesting world to read from, a very unique concept. I haven't read anything like this before. It was very well built in my opinion. The system that was kind of keeping everything organized was the Thunderhead, which is kind of like our cloud but better and with a lot of thinking on it of its own. The only matter that the Thunderhead cannot intercept with is the matter of the scythes. They have their own ruling system, and by following Rowan and Citra, who learn all of the ways of a scythe and how they actually do their killing, what they have to know, what rules they are, we as a reader learn everything as well, just like they do, and it's very well written in my opinion. And there were plot twists that I kind of see coming, but there were also plot twists that I really did not see coming, and I loved it. And I actually have the second book somewhere there ready to go, and I will pick it up as soon as I come back from my vacation. The second book I read in June was one that I gave 4 stars to, and that's The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This book follows Jude, who is a human girl that ended up in the fairy world. In the very beginning of the book we see a fairy actually murder Jude's parents because her mom was once married to this fairy and he saw himself betrayed, and then he kills her and actually takes Jude and her 2 sisters back to fairy with. I really enjoyed how the world was shown and built and what we learned about the courts and everything. This was actually the first book about fae or fairy that I've ever read, so it was very nice to learn the stuff, but at some places I felt like Holly Black didn't explain it that well. I felt like if I would have read at least 1 or 2 other books about fae or the court system, I would probably know better what she was talking about. But every now and then I was like, wait, why? Why does it work like that? I was confused every now and then. One thing that kept me very confused were Jude's relationships. I was very confused by her relationship with her twin sister. I didn't get their interactions at all. I didn't understand why they were saying things they did, doing things they did. Also, there were other relationships that were weird and very not explained as to why things are happening that way. I felt like the romantic relationships that Jude had in this book were very unbalanced. She fell in love easily and fast, even though we did not see it build up at all. There is kind of a matter of hate to love going on, and we don't see a lot of in between. We just see her hating and then loving. So this was one thing that I didn't really like. I liked the plot, I liked the intrigue that was going on and the revelations of the plot, but the relationships were a huge issue for me. I did not enjoy them at all. I still gave it 4 stars because the plot was very nice to read and the writing style, I liked it a lot. It's just the relationships, I didn't really get them. The next book I read had amazing relationships, and it was Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy. I read this for the reading double that happened in the end of June, and this is a contemporary that follows Ramona, whose nickname is Ramona Blue, and we follow her summer vacation and then her last school year, and we see a lot of her friendships that she's had for a while, then some friendships that she had when she was a kid and that are being back now. The main plot of this book, however, was sexuality. We have a lot of explanations about sexuality, a lot of discovering sexuality, and I felt like it was dealt with amazingly in this book. So I really enjoyed it. The issues that were in this book, like, you know, with contemporaries we usually have some issues going on, and I felt like everything fitted together perfectly. The family, the friends, the love, it was done beautifully. This is definitely a book that I would recommend in case you want to check out some LGBTQ+ reads, and definitely a 5-star read from me. I probably will reread this one time or another because I read it in about 1 day for the double readathon, and I feel like I might have missed a few details because I was kind of rushing through it, so probably will pick it up again. The second book I read for the reading double, however, was very disappointing, and it was Boy Meets Boy by David Levithan. I paired these two up because they were both following a LGBTQ+ character, or more than one. The difference in regard of the sexuality part was that Ramona Blue kind of dealt more with the discovering part and coming out part, this kind of stuff. This book, however, we follow a character who is already openly gay and everyone knows that. So this is more kind of a contemporary where the coming out part or the discovering of sexuality part is not a matter anymore. It's just a glimpse of his life. One thing that I felt when I read this was it's weird. I felt like this book was completely weird. I didn't understand a lot of stuff that was going on in here. Again, just like in The Cruel Prince, the relationships were not relatable at all, not understandable at all. One chapter, the main character was hating someone, and then the next they were kissing, and there was one story about his kind of discovering his sexuality back when he was a child that I felt like was very unbelievable and maybe overdone. Also, there were some characters that I just didn't like. They were like a little bit over the top, definitely, and I just wasn't that much interested in the book by the time I read like 100 pages. So I just skimmed through it and I don't feel like I missed too much. So I gave it 2 stars in the end. It was kind of disappointing and I don't think I will ever try to read it fully again. And the last book I picked up in the month of June was one that I enjoyed a lot. I gave it 5 stars. It's probably becoming one of my favorite trilogies ever, and it's The Kiss of Deception by Mary Pearson. This book follows a princess whose first name is actually Arabella, but she goes by her third name, which is Jasilia, short Leah, and she actually, right in the beginning of the book, escapes her own marriage because she doesn't want to be married off to another kingdom, and then she just escapes with her friends and they go somewhere else, but then the actual prince that she was meant to marry and an assassin are following her, and the assassin obviously wants to kill her because she was sent by another kingdom in this world, and the prince is obviously quite angry as well, but his main goal is to find out who that girl is. What I loved about this book was that we as a reader don't know who of them is who. Leah doesn't know who of them is who, and they both don't know that the other one is an assassin or a prince. And it was done very well. I felt like there were quite a few things going on that were meant to kind of mislead the reader to think that, you know, the assassin was the prince or the other way around. I actually figured out from the very first time they met who of them was who, and I actually guessed right. We get a lot of chapters from Leah's point of view, we get a few chapters from the assassin's point of view and the prince's point of view. And in the prince assassin chapters, we don't know who of them is who. It's just their perspective, why they're following her, why they're doing this. And then we also get chapters from Cadence and Rafe's point of view, which are the names that Leah knows them by, and obviously she doesn't know that they're both assassin and prince. So we kind of get this multiple perspective, and it's amazing. Half of the book you're trying to figure out who of them is who, the other half you're actually enjoying the story. This was meant to be a fantasy book, but it didn't really feel like one. It's set in a different world, and Leah is said to have the gift that she herself isn't really sure about whether she has it. The gift is mainly hearing whispers or voices or just knowing stuff. That's kind of an intuition kind of thing, but she's meant to have it, and this is the main fantasy part of this book. And we don't get a lot of it in this book, in my opinion. It's not very much explained either. I've actually read the second book already, and it's not that much explained in the second book either. It gets better, but I wouldn't necessarily call this world a fantasy world. Like, the world is like a newly built up world and one that is different from ours, but there is not that much of magic or that sort of elements going on. In this book, I really like the relationships, all of them. I really loved the friendship and the relationships she was kind of building up with the assassin and the prince, who we only in the very end figure out who of them is who. And the subplots were enjoyable and definitely a 5-star read for me. I enjoyed the writing style a lot. I was flying through this book. I wasn't able to put it down whenever I was going home on a bus and then I had to exit the bus. I was reading on my way up until home because I just could not put it down. And it's been a while since I felt this way about any books, so I'm excited. I'm actually currently reading the 3rd book already, and it's great. So that's it for my June wrap-up. I'm sorry it's that late. I just had so much stuff to do for university, and I'm finally on my kind of break over the summer, and yeah, I hope it's okay that it's that late. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it as always, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! In this book we follow Jude, who is a human girl who is cats. I can never film a video in peace.